This episode of Inside Golf Podcast is brought to you by Inside Sports Network.
What's up, everybody? It's your boy, Boston Capital, Twiddler Steve, on the Hold the Green podcast.
All right, we are live. Tapping birdie.
All right, Carson Young is here.
I bet Ludwig at 28.
Let's go. I bet
You
him
did
at,
too?
I bet him at 25.
Low sevens. I think there's some guys in here we like.
Harris English at 7,300.
Why the fuck would I not bet Rory?
What's up, everybody? Happy Sunday night. It's your boy Capper with Twiddler Steve. We're going to do Houston Open preview, Valero recap. Pretty enjoyable Sunday, thankfully. If not, I would have been very fucking salty. Steve, how you feeling, buddy?
The Valero recap. The Valspar. Wrong V tournament.
Wrong V.
Yes, exactly. Well, I appreciate you showing up with clothes, after you just ran buck naked through your neighborhood in celebration of JT blowing it today. Very proud of you.
Not happy.
What's that?
I said my HOA was not happy.
No, it definitely was not. You definitely got a lot of complaints from the neighborhood, but we'll save that. Surprising outcome, I would say. If you talked to me last week and watch, actually just for the last month or so, about Victor Hovland completely booting it around the greens and switching putters and switching coaches and going, I think, cut T22, cut. And, and then put the cherry on top. He was in the quote unquote bad wave this week, which maybe we'll do a mea culpa for that with what happened. Sure. And I think it just is another example of golf is funny. This is a funny sport we bet on, and stuff changes very quickly because boy, oh boy, Hovland's putter changed very quick this week. Very quickly. Overarching thoughts about Hovland and getting the win, I guess. How do you feel right now?
I mean, look, I was so happy JT didn't win because I despise him as a human. So there is literally no one that I want to win less than JT. It's very I don't like him at all.
You can't even focus on Hovland. That's how much you hate JT right now.
It is.
I asked you about Victor Hovland, and you're just like, I just want to go to JT right now.
Fine. Listen, for Hovland, man, that post-round interview was great. He was like, look, I legitimately didn't think I could win it today. He didn't even say going into the weekend. He's like, I woke up this morning and didn't think I could win it. So that just tells you how stupid of a sport we bet on. And shit can just flip. And you're right. That putter looked good. I like Hovland. I always have. He's not a guy who I don't like, right? Actually has a personality. Fits my trend of not an American golfer who I like. Yeah, I mean, look, it was good for him. You could tell how excited he was. Yeah, I mean, look, he played great coming down the back nine. He didn't spit the bit like gutless JT. And yeah, I'm happy for it. And yeah, listen, literally anybody but JT, right? That's typically my opinion. So yeah, it's and the fact that Victor even recognized that he was like, look, I was kind of lucky. I love that. You know what I mean? I love that shit. I do. I love that. Hey, look, it takes luck to win a golf tournament. Nobody ever acknowledges that. And he acknowledged it because he didn't know what the hell he was doing. He said on Friday, he didn't know what the hell was happening with his swing. And he went out and won a fucking golf tournament. So good for Vic. Happy for it. And makes that Ryder Cup bet that I laid legitimately right after. Makes me feel a lot better.
There you go. I'll try and keep it mostly on Hovland.
Lies, Joey.
Yeah. And then we'll throw it to JT for a little bit. I think it's a good day for the PGA Tour that Hovland won. I mean, obviously I think they wanted their golden goose JT to win this. I mean, based on what the coverage was, they kind of just forgot everybody else on the golf course, even though there was a lot of guys in the mix. It just was all JT because they wanted the big win. But Hovland coming through is a nice consolation prize for them because, as we'll talk about maybe in a little bit, the top stars of the PGA Tour have been kind of lackluster overall. We were talking a couple of weeks ago about how there's maybe a little bit of a turnover and transition in who the top guys are right now and who's kind of fading. And Hovland was one of those guys that were fading. We had a lot of question marks about him. And I think him winning and being relevant again, a young, super talented guy who's been relevant in majors, had a lot of close cards. I think it's really important for Hovland to get back and get right. And it's a good sign for the PGA Tour that he showed up and played today and fixed, his putter at least for 1 week. And then, I, like you said it, I genuinely like Victor Hovland. I like his style of play. I think he's a great ball striker. He's provided a lot of electricity and juice when he's in the mix. That's a guy that we've loved to bet on over and over.
Yep.
And, it sucks that he chipped to the 50-1 and we missed it. But, just hat tip to you, hat tip to the people who bet him. Congratulations. That was a hell of a bet. And
I'll do that. You know me, I do that all the time where I'm like, yo, this number is wrong. Right. But he was in such bad form. I was in person watching him shoot a fucking 80 on a Thursday. You know what I mean? So that stuck with me. And I know he came out and shot well on Friday at the Players, but yeah, man, like after being in person and watching him for a little bit, I was like, yeah, he's broken, like broken. And he even admits he was broken. So, I mean, good on you for betting the number. Like, I get it. And I'm happy that Vic won. I think, right, the PGA Tour definitely won, which gives me mixed feelings, right? Because I don't like Monahan, but I don't know. It's crazy. So let me ask you this. So like JT, right? So JT, Hovland came up, Spieth faded off. But we got some of these young cats who keep coming up and showing up, and we keep writing them off as like false swing guys, like Bridgman, like Highsmith, like Castillo. Is there a shift in this dynamics with some of these younger cats who come out? They play fast, they play aggressive, right? And I'm not talking about like the ball speed kings, but just some of these guys who we keep seeing popping on the leaderboard. These younger guys. Yeah, it's just I wonder if maybe they're taking over some of the, like we call them, these gutless losers, right? The guys who are always between like 18 and 30-1 and never win. Like I wonder if they're going to start replacing them. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean, I think especially with Highsmith and Bridgman, all those guys you just mentioned. What gives me hope is they're young. There's the untapped ceiling of what actually is out there versus you get some other guys that have popped, every now and then, but they're retreads. They're getting to their 30s. Like they're basically finished products at this point. And then you get a couple guys like that who just have been hitting the ball really good, getting relevant, getting their beak wet as far as, Highsmith's case, getting the win. Bridgman, another really solid showing today. We'll save him for a little bit because both you and I were on him. That was, I think we had our feelings caught up on that one a little bit, but it's good. Just like with Hovland winning, I think it's good that you start seeing some of the younger guys coming up from the Korn Ferry Tour. What I'm noticing, it's starting to take about a year for a lot of these guys who, when they come up to get their feet wet, I think it's because of just how, they're kind of stuck playing a lot of these lower tier events when they come in. There's no real barrier or entry to get up to the signature events to really see how, kind of measure how they are against the bigger boys. And now they're starting to get some good starts in and a lot more success. And I think they're starting to find stuff more. So it's good that, it's another reason I think if you're the PGA Tour would be very happy today is, A, one of your stars finally got another win. B, you got all these, other younger guys who are starting to establish themselves and kind of fill the void of like
they are
a Max Homa who's fading out or aging out, like a Tony Finau that's starting to age out, like a lot of these other guys, like a Matthew Fitzpatrick that just is kind of in the woods right now.
Thanks.
We got to start, churning these guys and replacing these guys. And it's good to have guys who are like mid-20s or so who can start to pop. So that's a good thing.
Yeah.
Back to Hovland, though, one of the things I was listening on the broadcast was, it wasn't just the putter that was bothering him, but the driver was really bothering him as well. And I guess hindsight 2020, a place like Innisbrook where, when we saw it with JT on 16, he pulled driver and he sent it way into the woods, and Hovland ended up just pulling iron, putting it up 250, and then stuck it to about 10 feet. And he could do that at this golf course. There was only a select number of holes where he's like, okay, I got to hit driver. And Hovland didn't really hit the driver all that great, but because he clubbed down, it saved him. So we'll get to him in a little bit as far as like after this, but I know you're dying to talk about JT. So
no, I mean, I'm really not. Like, I'm just happy.
No, yes, you are. Yes, you are. Trounce in his grave. I'm going to give you 2 minutes to just celebrate his demise and choke job after choking again at 12 under, and then going 2 over through the snake pit to blow it. So there you go. So there you go. Go ahead.
First of all, I don't even understand. And look, I didn't direct this to the people in the Discord because listen, maybe you have a ticket on him and that's why you like him. I don't understand anyone who could be a fan of JT. It makes no sense to me. He's a complete dick. He acts like a turd. Like, his celebrations are lame. And then his interview after, I know they're saying he's taking his L, he said there wasn't much he could do. Maybe don't shit down your leg on the last 5 holes. Like, what are you talking about? There isn't much I could do. Like, yeah, great. You play great on the front 9, and then as soon as you realize you had a chance to win, you fucking hook it in the woods, and then you bogey 18. Like, I don't know. I just don't like him. Like, to me, he's just a turd. He's just like the same. He's the type of guy that is impossible to root for. I don't understand how anybody roots for him. I didn't like him a long time ago. And then you factor in how much I loved Keegan and the fact that he made the Ryder Cup team instead of Keegan. Like, that just poured gasoline on it. Like, I don't understand how anybody can like him. He choked down the stretch. And look, I was afraid of him coming into this year for good reason, right? Like, I mean, look, he is starting to play better, but at the same point, like, listen, I was just so happy he didn't win. That coverage today, the ball washing, the fucking I don't know if there is a worse group of people who don't know the people they're talking to, don't understand stats, don't understand really anything about the game other than the fact they might have played it 20 fucking years ago, than the announcers on the PGA Tour. They are the fucking worst. These are the same guys who used to tell us Corey Connors was one of the best putters. They would talk today about how Victor was like good around the greens. Get the fuck out of my face. Like, they don't understand anything. They try to bring up like data, right? Which is insane because they always have it backwards. It's so nuts. And the ball washing of JT, like, Tiger-esque. What did you say? This guy hasn't won in fucking 2 years. The only thing he wins is PGA Championship. The last time he won is because it was the worst swing I've ever seen in my life on an 18th tournament because Mito Pereira had a fucking seizure on the goddamn tee box. That's the only reason JT has a win in the last 4 fucking years. Like, the ball washing and just trying to stick it in our face. Like, you'll like JT, like him. He's a good guy. Roll Tide, roll Tide. I don't care. I hate fucking people like this. I hate when people are put in my face and they are trying to make me like them when they are fucking unlikable. You know how JT knows he's unlikable? He put Molly's dad on the back of his fucking caddies thing. He's like, please like me. I have a child. Nope. Lots of people have kids. You still suck. I don't like you. I'm so happy you lost.
That's okay. Can I defend the quote ball washing of JT and then like comparing to the Tiger?
Sure.
Listen, that is a huge stretch, but I will say that last week, and I wasn't on the show to debrief this because of the own child care problems I was experiencing at that point. When JT was making his run on Friday, and I think I actually texted you, "Hey, remind me about what happened on Thursday before I single bullet."
Don't let me go nuts. Single bullet.
Yeah, don't let me go nuts. My casual golf friends were blowing up my phone about JT's epic exploding round. And look, I mean, and maybe this is just an indictment of the PGA Tour at this point. Like, he's a needle mover. He's one of the last ones who actually, when he starts getting things going, they get excited. So I can see why they want to focus on him. They want to harness that energy because he actually can bring in casuals. If he's starting to do stuff on the golf course, he can actually get eyeballs on him and actually drive up ratings. And a lot of other guys just simply can't do that. So, like, while Hovland, I think, can elicit a lot of responses from the golf gambling community and get us excited, like, you know, my friends know of him, but they're not going to tune in for him. They're going to tune in for JT or Spieth, though. And when those, when both of them started making moves yesterday.
I get the Spieth thing. I just don't know why the casuals even like JT. He hasn't been relevant in fucking forever. Like, it makes no sense. He's a twerp. He's a skinny little douchebag who like goes on the stupid barstool shit, and that's why fucking people like him. And no offense to the fucking foreplay shit, like, look, they are what they are, and they have a huge fucking audience. But like, he's just an unlikable fake human being, and it makes no sense to me why people like him, and it frustrates me.
I think it's because Tiger has essentially crowned him as his buddy, so I think that's why he has a lot of mainstream appeal. And I mean, when he's actually at his peak, he was stepping to the hole, he was fist pumping. Like, you don't see that a lot from some of these guys. So that's JT talk. Another close call, another solid finish, though. He's hitting the ball pretty good.
He's gonna win soon. I
have my thoughts about when exactly he's gonna win. That's, I think, gonna be the last time. Well, he might play Valero. I don't know. We'll see. Bridgman. Let's talk about Bridgman real quick.
Yeah, that's fine.
That was tough. You and I were very high on him. Here's the thing, though. Everybody was high on him.
But we were high on him before everybody else was high on him, which irritated me. He was the underground band, and then all of a sudden he did Island in the Sun, and all of a sudden Weezer is known to everybody. Where we are jamming out to Pinkerton and the Blue Album at that point. Yes.
And saying, the Green Album sucks, man. No,
you don't understand. I liked them before they were popular, bro.
Exactly. But you and I had our emotions caught up in it. And look, he did not have his A game or B game this weekend. It was shaky.
Dude.
But what impressed me the most, and why I'm still high on him, why I still like come out of it, even though he came up short, still garner a lot of respect. Kid battled. Kid did not back down to adversity. Kid bounced back from a lot of really bad holes and bad shots. And where we expect a guy like that to just circle the drain and shoot 75, 76, here he is coming the next hole, knocking it stiff or chipping in. Or what I really liked too, and people call it luck box, was he had a lot of 5, 6, 7 footers that he just nailed. And how many times do we want the guys we bet on to just hit these 6, 7 footers? They don't. Man. Hi, Shane Lowry. How are you? I tried to rely on you today. You did nothing again.
Nothing. Nope.
So I'm still really high on the kid. Unfortunately, I think everybody's gonna be really high on him. I look at the odds this week, he's gonna be 50-1, but he came up short, but it was a good ride. That double today was, that was such a
that was brutal.
That was brutal. And what's worse about it today too was he was not hitting the ball very good. He actually hit the ball great today, but the putter went completely away. Like it was going to at some point. He was getting like 10 strokes putting first 3 rounds, but hat tip to Bridgman. That was a good performance.
Yep. I will be betting him in the future. I don't care if people like him or not. Yeah. I'm just happy I finally found a golfer that I like that actually makes putts. It's such a different feeling when you have money on somebody who gets up to a 6-footer and you're like, yeah, he's got this no problem, versus this motherfucker. You know what I mean? Like it's like a calming influence. Like I need more of these, like, oh, they can make a putt people in my life versus this guy's dead from fucking 5 feet.
Yeah. Well, you lost Cam Smith. So
I know.
He's definitely not Cam Smith.
No,
but
man's Cam Smith.
He's a good putter though. So I think the only other thing I wanted
he's longer off the box, by the way, than I thought he was too.
Yeah, he's gained a little bit of pop. He's not the longest guy out there,
he's
but
not the longest,
he can move it. Yeah, he can move it.
I thought he was going to be like Mackenzie Hughes territory. You know what I mean? I was like, oh no, this guy's fine. Like we're okay. Like we have a shot to get there in 2 if he wants to.
Yeah, he's a little longer than average, but he can move it out there when he wants. I think the only other thing is any thoughts about Xander this weekend? Shows some stuff, and then Saturday was really bad.
But play
well.
Where
are you coming out on Xander? Because that's going to be, I think, the last time we see Xander before the Masters. So that's the last impression of him.
Yeah.
Where are you at with him right now?
I think he was literally just out there getting reps to kind of feel what it was like to be in tournament again. I mean, he kind of said it basically. I don't know what he said verbatim, but he said like golfing at home is not the same as golfing out here. Shaking off the rust, I like it, right? Like shake off that rust. He definitely flashed, looked good at certain points. Yeah, I mean, look, it's Xander. He's coming back from a rib injury. That's got to be brutal for a fucking golfer, seeing how every single thing you're doing other than putting is using your core and your ribs. So, yeah, I mean, I was fine with it. I think he looked a hell of a lot better. He's gotten better each week. So he's trending in the right direction.
Okay. I think that actually leads us to the little game we want to play that I'm starting about.
Okay.
So we are 2 weeks from the beginning of Masters weeks. So about 3 weeks until the tournament. And this is where we start looking at the field and looking at the state of golf right now and starting to wonder like who actually can win the Masters, because the trend, at least for the last like 5 years or so, has been, it's pretty obvious to pick who's been winning. Like Hideki was the one surprise, but 2020, DJ was best player in the world. No surprise there. Scotty both times. Yeah, Scotty both times. Like he was playing phenomenal golf leading in.
Cam Smith should
ends
have
up
won
winning. What, in 2022?
Yeah.
Okay. I know. Well, I mean, Cam Smith ended up winning a major, later in the year. He won the Players. So he was one of those guys that like he won Century, won Players. Like you're thinking about like the types of guys who actually win. Rahm was playing great golf. Like he wasn't playing as good heading in, but like he won Genesis, he won Century. Like he was clearly one of the best players in the world. So now what I want to get your temperature on is, and again, this is just raw emotion. I'm going to say a name and you're going to say in or out. In or out on if they are a contender to win the Masters based on just who they are and what they have done this year. We'll go rapid fire. Okay.
Let's go. Yep.
Scotty Scheffler, in or out?
In.
Okay. Rory, in or out?
Out.
Out. You're kidding.
He's never winning Augusta.
Okay. If you look at his resume of this year,
fine. You're asking me my initial opinion, and he's too inside his head about that shit. And look, maybe if I think about it a little longer, my initial reaction is no. He did win Pebble. He won the Players. Look, I just think he is so focused on that I feel like it really does hamper him. Although he is getting a little older, his course management is a little better. All right, you know what? I'll say in. Fuck it.
I can't believe I had to crowbar in for Rory freaking McIlroy as a contender to win the Masters. Okay. All right. The guy we just talked about, Xander. Are you in or out on Xander win the Masters?
I might be in.
I think I might be.
I just don't like. I don't like he's coming back from the injury, but
he's 10 to. He won
2 majors
right
last
now,
year.
Though.
10 to 1. I'm not bad.
Yeah, that's that's the thing. Like we got to wait for these odds are just basically frozen unless guys win. He's going to drop at this point. Like, but
we're not talking about odds. We're talking about actually to win. So
I know to win. I mean, look. I mean, he's starting to shake off the rust a little bit. He's starting to get back to
great course fit. He almost should have won the year Decky won, but the rain delay fucked him.
Yeah. John Rahm, in or out?
I'm out.
All right. I'm still in. In.
I want to be.
It's concerning he's not winning on LIV, but he looks fine.
That's what's that's very concerning to me.
It's very concerning to you. Okay.
Yeah. It's LIV.
All right. Colin Morikawa, in or out?
Out.
Okay. I'm still in on Colin to win based on what he's doing. He's been great at Augusta. I'm still in on him. Sure. Ludwig, in or out?
In. All in.
I think I'm out.
Okay. I get why you're out. I get why you're out.
He's played like 6 good rounds this year.
Yeah. Listen, I get why you're out, but
yeah.
You got to keep in mind within the last 2 weeks, I just watched him hit the golf ball in person. And
there you go.
First of all, that is a sexy human being. My wife was like, "Who is that?" I'm like, "Yep, that's Ludwig. That's her new favorite golfer." She asked me this week. She's like, "Is Ludwig playing this weekend?" I was like, "I don't like this."
All right, let's keep going through it. Bryson, in or out?
Out. I just don't. I think the uneven. I'm sticking with our analysis from the uneven lies. Fucking, I'm out.
Out too. I mean, other than the first round last year, he was pretty pedestrian.
Yeah.
The rest of the time there, I'm out. JT, in or out? I don't even need to ask you.
I'm worried. Let's put it that way.
Okay. I'm in on JT. I'm in on JT to win the Masters.
I think I think I actually might be in.
Okay. Brooks, in or out?
Out.
Right now, I'm out. I need to see. He's got to show signs of life at Doral. He's shown a little bit. He's shown signs of life at Sentosa, shown signs of life at Adelaide. There is the video we did with Rick Shields of he does need something on the line. He basically confirmed what we all thought about him is like
something on the line.
If something's on the line or he starts like peaking, getting to form. Last year, we did not see Koepka get off the bus at Doral. He was pretty bad for the most part. I think he was pretty bad at the Masters. We need to see something from him there. Hideki, in or out to win the Masters? Your internet's awful, by the way.
Why?
You are blurry. You are choppy. Is someone binging Netflix at your house?
Yeah,
right
probably.
now?
All my kids are home and they're still up. So yes.
Okay. All right. Maybe while I'm doing the course preview, we'll get you off and then we'll figure that out. Hovland, in or out to win the Masters?
Still out.
All right. I'm still out too. That driver's still a problem. I think he's got to be better with that. Terrell Hatton, in or out?
In.
He hasn't been playing all that good.
Listen, I don't care. He showed signs of life at there last year, and I'm in. Love Hatton.
All right. I'm out. Patrick Cantlay, in or out?
Out.
He's one of my bets I've already made for the Masters 40-1. I'm very disappointed.
Why?
Because
I was going to put an electric collar on you, and I was going to get to zap you every time you bet him this year. It's already been fucking like 3 times. And he hasn't contended in a shit event, and you think he's going to win Augusta?
No, because this is I bet this in December, thinking he was going to have a good early year, and this number was going to end up being like 18-1, like it usually is on Patrick Cantlay. Maybe he wins once. And he's really just been blah. Like he's contended at Torrey Pines. That's really about it. So yeah, I'm not feeling all that great about it. He's hitting the ball pretty good, but like him winning would be like Hideki winning in 21. Like, oh yeah, like he's hitting the ball pretty good, but really under the radar. Like that's kind of Cantlay.
I would be fucking shocked if Cantlay won.
He historically he sucks putting at Augusta too. Like that is a serious problem that has never been rectified, by the way. Joaquin Niemann, in or out on the Masters? I'm out too.
Out.
He's won twice on Live. I know he looks great over there. He has not had a top 10 in a major. He has never been even in close to being in contention to be in a major. Out. I'm out on him. So, all right. Why don't you hop out and hop back in? And then fix your internet. And then we'll see what happens. All right, buddy?
Sure.
Okay.
Yep.
All right. All right. Hop out, and then I'll share my screen. So, all right. Hello. Just me talking now. So, I think what I want to say before I do the course preview is, at ISN, we have a lot of shows here. And we got a lot of great content, it's one of the reasons why, you should be an insider of ISN. It's not just our show that is free for everybody, but you got Andy's show is free for everybody. We also have Andy's article. We got the Ball Knowers After Dark. We got a lot of great on-course stuff that we're starting to really get into. But one of the things that we want to avoid is some redundancy, specifically my show and Andy's show. And, when it comes down to it, Andy and I kind of say a lot of similar things. We think alike on a lot of this golf course stuff. And it doesn't really make sense if I do a show after his and just say a lot of the same stuff. So we're going to change up this preview a little bit. I think it's still important for me to show you the golf course. And I think that's why a lot of you tune into YouTube is you want to see the golf course as more of a visual aid. And I think that's where we have a nice little sweet spot. And a lot of things that Andy will say, I can actually show you with this golf course. But a lot of the nitty gritty stuff of, a lot of those data tables I had, while I'm still going to have a couple, for the most part, we're going to let Andy handle that. So this is going to be a lot more modified view of the course. And we're going to spend a little more time on the back end about the actual odds board because, books just want to get the odds out to you crack addicts at Sunday night before you've even looked at a single
Don't
thing.
attack our viewers.
It's freaking true, man. I mean, like I was in the Discord and people already have their cards put together. They didn't even look at a weather report. They hadn't put a model together. They just already have their cards.
I wanted to ask you about that, like how susceptible we are to weather. I feel like this is a course we might be.
Maybe we'll talk about that on Tuesday. So, but we'll talk more about that at the end of the show. But I still want to show you this golf course. And we got the Houston Open this week. And I think the story behind the Houston Open is less about Memorial Park and more just about how this tournament has struggled to find its place on the PGA Tour. And despite the fact that it's one of the oldest tournaments on the PGA Tour, the first Houston Open was in 1946, but it has bounced around the Houston area to, I can't even tell you how many golf courses, a lot of golf courses, and it just struggled to find a permanent home, a permanent place on the schedule. Finally, around early 2000s, it seemed like it found a permanent fixture on the PGA Tour schedule. It was sponsored by Shell, so it got a big sponsor attached to it. And it was played for, I think, 15 years at the Golf Club of Houston. And it was also the last tournament before the Masters, which was important because that would be the last opportunity to get into Augusta. Yeah. Well, unfortunately, in 2018, Shell said, look, we're not going to sponsor this anymore. And no one really stepped up to sponsor this, despite the fact that it's freaking Houston, one of the biggest metropolitan areas in the country. No one wanted to step up to sponsor this thing.
Huge.
It is. It's huge. It's a huge to a fault, I would say. It is way too mad. Have you
I've been to Houston a handful of times. I couldn't believe how big it was. It's fucking insane.
I used to have a client down there, and I actually had to drop off. My coworker at Hobby, which is the airport to the south, and then I drive all the way across the city to GW. That was a long trek. Just
dude, flying into GW, that's when you realize how huge fucking Houston is. When you look out and you're like, holy fuck, look at that skyline. Look how fucking wide it is.
Yep, it is. It's massive. But despite the massive urban sprawl of Houston, no business really wanted to step up. Not even like Minute Maid or anything. And it looked like this tournament was going to probably go away. The PGA Tour moved it to the fall, and which is basically purgatory at that point.
Yeah.
But what ended up saving it was the Houston Astros. The Astros came in and said, look, this is an important part of the city. It's an old golf tournament. Golf is very important in this area. We're going to make our foundation the primary nonprofit for it. We're going to basically bankroll this thing and keep it alive. And the other thing they want to do too is move it back towards the city of Houston. And they had a perfect piece of property for it, Memorial Park, which is a municipally owned golf course. And it had 60,000 rounds a year. It's one of the more popular public golf courses in the country. The problem was, and I'll show you this slide right here, is very run down, is very outdated. You can see the lines right here. I couldn't remove them for the slide, but you can see this is the routing of the golf course now, but you can see just a lot of overgrown vegetation, very tired routing. It was very outdated. The greens were not in very good shape. And it just wasn't suitable to hold a PGA Tour tournament. It didn't have the conditions for it. But it was a big ballpark, though. It had a lot of space, which was important. Yeah. So what they did, though, was that it was very important to keep it in the city and, have it be a nice celebration of public golf, having it here. Well, they ended up bringing in Tom Doak, which is, I would say, probably the best modern architect we have, between him and Hans at this point. And he's done Pacific.
That's fucking huge praise coming from you, by the way.
Well, I mean, look at all the great golf courses he's done. Like, he does mostly, like the resort golf courses. Like, he's got Pacific Dunes, Old McDonald, Stream Song, couple. I forget which one, blue or red, he's done, but he's Stream Song, Terra Edie, one of the better golf courses in the world that's based in New Zealand there. So a lot of great golf courses, but the problem is, they're mostly shorter. There's a lot of intricacies to Tom Doak golf courses. They're very difficult, but they're on smaller pieces of property. Yeah. Yep. A lot of pros can just hit over that stuff. That's why you don't really see a lot of Doaks on the PGA Tour, with the exception of the Renaissance Club, which, again, a big ballpark. But for Doak, though, this was a big ballpark. So you actually create a Doak golf course that can challenge these guys, because Doak golf course can be pretty difficult. And a lot of these guys don't really like some of the things that are going on here.
Wait, shocking. The PGA guys don't like a tough golf course. I'm so surprised.
Yeah, but this is now a canvas where you can have a 7,200 yard golf course and do it here. He also brought in Brooks Koepka for consultation.
That's this course. That's right.
Yeah, I mean it's always hit or miss.
Sergio's home course?
No, this isn't Sergio's home. Sergio's home course is in Dallas, and it's
Dallas.
It's something else. No, Sergio had connections to the TBC San Antonio, which we'll talk about next week. But it's always hit or miss when a player is attached to a golf course. Normally they just come in for like a day and they give some thoughts, and then the architect's like, yeah, sure, we'll do that, and then just go do something else. But they have their name attached to us, so it's debatable.
Like when our kids ask us for something, we're like, yeah, maybe.
Exactly. It's debatable how much exactly Brooks had a hand in this, but there's one thing that he actually said about this golf course I think he did have a hand in that we'll talk about in a little bit. But so Doak, though, took this golf course right here, pretty tired, and turned it into this. One of the, and like he completely transformed it. In total, I think he moved 8 greens.
Jesus.
He reconfigured holes. Like, actually, I'll go back to this one. So up at the northern top of the property here, this is just a regular like par 4 straightaway. And then I think number 9 here, you had the ravine that runs parallel to the fairway here, and then you hit over this green here. In the renovation, though, this turned into a long par 5. They pushed back the green here, and now this is a par 3. So they reconfigured the entire golf course, and they did a lot of other changes to it. And I'll show you right now what they did. So, number 1, they did this to a lot of greens. They repositioned a lot of greens closer to hazards. So what do I mean by that? Well, when they were clearing a lot of the trees and vegetation, they found this, and maybe they didn't find, but I think they realized the grand scope of the canyons and ravines that were running through the property that were just hidden in all these thick trees. And Doak wanted to use these, the ravines for 2 reasons. One is they want to make it part of the golf course. So what they end up doing was, this is just a regular par 3 here. They moved the green a little closer to this ravine here. You can see this in the overhead picture. They removed all the trees here. There's a bunker that can catch some balls that it goes left, but if you go way, like if you really pull it, you'll end up in this canyon over here.
Yeah.
So they put a lot of greens closer to the ravine here. Also, and I loved hearing this, they put a lot of the greens and holes closer to the canyons as a way to use it to remove excess water from the property. So instead of actually spending a lot of money for catch basins, irrigation pipelines that would remove the water from the property if it rained a lot, because it was so close to, everything would funnel towards these ravines here, and it would carry the water away. It saved the taxpayers a lot of money when they actually did this. It's great. So that was one of the things they wanted to do, for both purposes there. Second thing they did was, and this is, I think, where Brooks had a little bit of play in this, was removal of bunkers and rough. And here's number 10 here. You can see, it's pretty standard straightaway hole. You got 2 fairway bunkers here. You got 4 greenside bunkers, a lot of rough surrounding it. Well, one of the things that was a challenge for Doak, and Brooks noted this too, was they had to create a golf course that was tough for the pros and provide certain challenges to them, while also making it playable for the general public who just goes out there after their day jobs and just hacks it around. Well, one of the things they did was, and Brooks said, well, listen, a lot of fairway bunkers are just quote unquote, and he says superfluous, which means they're there, but they just don't really matter.
When did Brooks must have got that as a word of the day?
He actually was quoted saying it, so maybe it was the word of the day at that point.
He was on the shitter, and fucking the word of the day was superfluous. He's like, where could I use this during the day?
Probably. So what he said was, okay, we probably should remove a lot of these bunkers, because to us, They're not really in play, but they're just a nuisance and a hazard and unnecessary difficulty for just a regular amateur. So they removed a lot of bunkers on the golf course. Most holes only have
how many bunkers are left now? I remember last.
It's very. I don't have the exact number, but I mean, I can go back to like the.
It was like 70% of bunkers they removed.
Yeah, like you just don't see a lot of bunkers. Like there might be one bunker that's like way out, like for a pro, but like other than that though, just like one greenside bunker per hole. Like they really use a lot of restraint with it. Yeah. So they removed a lot of bunkers, removed a lot of greenside bunkers. What they also did too was they wanted to create more tight lies around the green, like fairways, where for a amateur, this would be the opportunity if you're off the green there to use putt back up to the surface. You can, two putt for bogey or double or whatever.
Yep. That's exactly what I like.
But for pros, Koepka said that, rough is basically, it makes it a lot easier. The ball, it acts as a natural barrier. If it runs through, you just kind of pop the ball up and it gets it onto the green there. But the difficulty really comes up when it's guys got to chip off tight lies. Really separates the men from the boys at that point. You got to clip it right. And especially when this thing was all Bermuda, like really difficult to do so.
Oh yeah.
So all the greens have a lot of runoffs, a lot of tight lies. And then the greens itself, a lot of undulation, a lot of slope to them too. And that's a big, like, especially when you're chipping off tight lies, you're trying to get close to the pin, it makes it very difficult to do so because there's just a lot you had to, take into consideration when you're doing it. So that's an example here of how they took, things that a lot of public golf courses would have, a lot of rough, bunkers, and remove it to make it a little easier for amateurs, but how it's still, how the greens are and just how guys truly challenge on the PGA Tour to score low and get par and birdies. They added these things to make it tougher for them. So that's another thing that they did. And the third thing, there's a couple things. This is the third significant thing they did was they wanted to change the closing stretch, specifically 16 and 17. Now, there's only one primary water hazard on the golf course. They removed a lot of them, but they kept this one right here. This was an old par 5 that didn't really play close to the water, didn't bring it in play. And then I think 17 here, again, played way away from the water, unless you just hit a banana slice into it. Well, they ended up expanding this water hazard to bring it into play on the par 5. Now you have water all the way down the right, and it's kind of a peninsula green as well, where you have water just enveloping it, the front here. And I remember, I think last year when you had a big west wind here, guys would go for the green and they would hit it in the water or they'd make it a 3-shot hole. Even the wedge in can be kind of difficult because it's very easy to spin the ball back off the green here into the water. So that's one of the ways that they made this par 5 a little more exciting. And then 17 here, it plays a 401, but they moved the tee box up a couple rounds to try and make it drivable. And one of the things they did last year was they actually moved the green back into the right 30 yards to bring the water a little closer to play over on the right here.
Love it.
So kind of an exciting finish where you have a par 5 with a lot of water on the hole that comes into play, and then a short par 4 where if you move the tee box up, it can come into play there. So those are the biggest changes that they made to Memorial Park to, create a lot of excitement, create a challenging 18 holes for these guys. And it
was great coming down the stretch last year.
Oh yeah. And it definitely has stood up to these guys in being challenging. So
I obviously turned off the internet and had to come back on. Did you talk about how last year was completely different than any other year?
Well, that's what this slide is.
Okay. Look at me. Look at me. We have that ESPN.
The ESPN, yes. So this is the strokes gained by difficulty by category, and I have every single year. Keep in mind too that this is actually in the fall, so this is fall 2020, fall 2021, fall 2022, and they have this big, thick black line going through here. Now, before all of that, this was in the fall, and it was Bermuda. So you had the Bermuda was starting to turn a little dormant, but it was firm and fast, and especially, and it came into play a couple places where it was a little more difficult. Before, off the tee, it's pretty generous, pretty wide. They remove a lot of bunkers, not a lot of water hazards off the fairway. So as far as like difficulty off the tee, like skill shot or the difficulties to face a hit tee shots, not all that much. And that was true even after in 2024 when they overseeded the golf course, which we'll get to. I'll talk about it right now. So one of the things they did last year was, this is one of the last tournaments guys play before the Masters. And they wanted to incorporate some things that you would see at the Masters. For example, overseeded fairways and rough, overseeded greenside surrounds, and also lower rough. So before, when they took about the Bermuda, which is like 2.5 inches or so, it's only about 1.5 inches overseeded ryegrass rough, just like at Augusta National. And all the greenside surrounds are now overseeded, which kind of resembles some Masters conditions where you're chipping off of tight lies to pretty undulated greens. It ups the difficulty of it. And that's a pretty good simulation of what you're going to see at Augusta. And I commend them for it. I think that's a great thing. It shows that they continue to look at this golf course and
they're smart.
This tournament and say, you know what? Let's put things to attract guys to come here. And give them incentives to kind of tune up and warm up to this place. And I think it's great.
Yes, absolutely. I think it's awesome.
Yeah. So that's what this line represents is 2024 different agronomy. It's overseeded and lower rough. Now off the tee to really change the difficulty as much because there's not a lot of bunkers. There's not a lot of water hazards. The approach play, it could be just 1 year sample size, but it did get at least a little easier statistically with the degree of difficulty of the approach shots. And I think one of the reasons why is there's less rough to deal with. Before it was like 2.5 inch Bermuda. Now it's just the 1.5 inch ryegrass. So that's part of it. Another one too was instead of the bunkers, what they did was there's these subtle undulations off the fairway that you and I can't really tell if like the ball is sitting a little below you or above you. But a pro can, and it can cause a little bit of nuisance for them. And when it was regular Bermuda, it really showed up there. Like it made it difficult. But with the overseeded ryegrass, kind of ball was sitting up a little bit. It really took that away.
Really?
So I think that's one of the reasons why approach play got a little easier after the overseeded is because they took that element away. Is those subtle little undulations that are at this golf course. I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, keep going. I said, okay.
Okay. Around the green, though, that's where the biggest change was. It used to be one of the tougher golf courses around the green for obvious reasons. You're chipping off a tight Bermuda for the most part. 2020, which is the 2021 year, was extremely firm and fast. And the degree of difficulty of chipping off a tight lies, that tournament, it was one of the hardest on the entire PGA Tour that year. It got a little easier because I think it was a little more benign conditions, a little softer conditions in the next year, but still one of the tougher places to, try and get up and down on the PGA Tour. Last year, though, about average, middle of the road. Where it got dumbed down was it still was difficult chipping off of tight lies. And it was still one of the tougher ones in the PGA Tour trying to do it because it's still, you're chipping into really undulated greens. It's the degree of difficulty is still high, but the overseed kind of dumbed it down a little bit and made it a little easier for these guys to do that. Not much, but enough to notice. Where you really saw it get a lot easier was from the rough, which there's not a lot of, but still it's instead of, if you did find, rough around the green instead of Bermuda, it's now the overseed. So that's not as difficult. And also out of bunkers, whereas before you're chipping back onto maybe firm and fast Bermuda surfaces, the overseeded greens are a little softer. So getting up and down from the bunkers is a little easier. So, and I think just the nature of the bunkers as well, just because.
So around the green doesn't matter here as much as I think it does.
What's that?
So around the green doesn't matter as much here.
It still matters from chipping off its tight lies. That still is difficult, but The other areas like a greenside bunker or rough, which you just don't see a whole lot of at this golf course, the degree of difficulty is definitely not as much, where I think it kind of nets out as average at this point. But the chipping off a tight lie is still very difficult. It's still one of the more difficult places on the PGA Tour, but I think you just don't see a lot of it in general. But it got dumbed down slightly after that with the overseed.
Am I crazy? Is there collection areas here? Or am I thinking about the wrong course? You know how bad I am at this.
Yeah, there's runoffs too. I know on 18 that was where we had just seen Sam Burns make a mess of at Albany, trying to get up and down from off a green.
Yeah,
he did the same thing here on 18, trying to get up and down, trying to putt from it.
Okay, I'm thinking of the right course. Okay.
No, there's some here as well. So putting is usually above average in difficulty. You get big, slopey, undulated greens here. And the biggest challenge is try to hit putts from 5 to 15 feet. There's just a lot of break in them. It's hard to do. So that's a big defense here as far as scoring getting out of control. It's really difficult to make those 5 to 15 footers that we usually see these guys make because it's mostly straight putts for birdie. It's harder to make them here. So that's why scoring doesn't really get out of control all that much. Yep. So as far as proximity buckets, what I want to say is it's deceptively long because there are 5 par 3s. What I want to say
though, like fake long.
Well, what I want to say is the GCSA report, and I think everywhere is going to say it's 7,400 yards. It doesn't play 7,400 yards. It might play that at its max, but it's in the first round last year played 7,300 yards. In the final round last year played 7,150, played 7,100 yards in the third round. They play with tee boxes a little bit. They have a lot of flexibility to do so. It doesn't play 7,435 yards, but it's a par 70 and there's 5 par 3s. So that makes it pretty long. It's kind of like with Narashino or with the Valspar last week, where it's deceptively long. And that's why you see a lot of longer approach shots. Again, another great tune-up to Augusta, where you have a lot of shots over 150, a lot of shots over 200, a lot of long irons. So this is a great tune-up to the place. Those are a lot of the types of and again, like you're hitting mid to longer approach shots into very undulated greens with tight, lies around the green. Like it's a perfect tune-up. So you see that a lot at this place with those proximity buckets here. A lot of shots between 150 and 200 and over 200. There's a big de-emphasis in shots from under 150. One of the more crucial ones from under 150 yards is number 15. That's one where that actually does have a water hazard, like a little creek that runs shore of the green. And that's where Scotty lost the tournament last year. He hit a wedge and spun it back off the green and back in it. So there are
this is a tournament BK got me on his exacta, right?
Yes, and we'll get to that in a little bit. As far as comp courses go, the number one according to Data Golf is Pinehurst number 2, aka the one of the worst days of my life. And so obviously, you got a lot of tight lies around the green. Like that's a very easy comp there too. Narashino is also on this list as far as deceptively long golf course with the extra
cherry. I like the cherry.
What's that? Yeah,
I like the cherry.
TBC Craig Ranch is on this list because it's pretty driver heavy. Not a big penalty for missing fairways. That's on this list.
Seems weird.
Not really. I'm pretty wide. They're just it's pretty bombs away, and there's just not a lot of adversity off the tee there. So
I guess.
So that's a good comp to use for as far as like actually like off the tee conditions. Renaissance Club is on this list. That's another Tom Doak with big, tight lies around the green, big slopey greens, driver heavy. That can work.
I feel like the conditions at the Renaissance Club is a little different. Typically.
Well, actually, there's one tournament that kind of resembled that. And that we'll get to in a little bit. It was very tough weather conditions. Southern Hills, again, very tight lies around the green. That's another one on this list too. So yeah, like you see this list here, there's not a ton of surprises. I think Oak Hill's probably a surprise because that's big and thick rough. And I think it's because the missed fairway penalty is actually low at Oak Hill but it's more because it's just insanely difficult approach shots where it doesn't matter if you're in the middle fairway or in the rough, like it's just difficult. But you saw some crossover there as far as guys who did well there and here.
Yeah.
So that's some of the comp courses. As far as previous tournaments, last year, you just mentioned it. Steven Yeager wins it 12 under. Scotty Scheffler definitely gave this tournament away. Scotty should have won this tournament. That was the single bullet to use. And I think it put a lot of fear in our hearts about what he was going to do to Augusta. And then 2 weeks later, he won it.
He did it.
Yep.
I remember sitting on 18 green on Friday with you, and he and he shot it up, and I was like, clapped, and I was like, I give in. I give in. Scotty's going to win.
It was tough conditions, and it was mega firm greens, and he hit it to 3 feet on 18. And it's like, well, that was the last shot you saw the Masters in your experience right there, and even you had to give the little golf clap.
I did a little golf clap.
Yeah. But there's a lot of distance because of last year was with the oversea, they cut down the rough, a lot of distance in this, top 10 here. You Jaeger and Finau, Scotty, Dietrich, Taylor Moore, Alejandro Tosti, who got into Finau's head.
Thank you. This is the tournament that made me waste hundreds, if not thousands of dollars on this asshole.
Yep. It was this tournament. Grazerman, who maybe we'll talk about a little bit when we get to the odds.
Ooh, Grazerman.
Yep. The emphasis in approach play, just because it was really just was about kind of bombing it out there. And I think the degree of the approach shots got a little less. But still, guys had to be really good around the green still. You see a lot of guys with some big numbers for around the green. And then putting as well. I mean, Tony Finau, man, lost almost a stroke putting, but hit the ball great. Otherwise, Jaeger put the lights out. Taylor Moore, Dietrich, Max Grazman, David Skins, Aaron Rai, a lot of guys putt really well in that tournament there. Going back to 2022, and I think you and I both hit Finau at this tournament for the outright. Yep. And a lot of people like looking at this tournament as a negative to Finau for winning. They're like, oh, you won Houston. I mean, look at this leader. You beat Tyson Alexander and Ben Taylor.
Seriously, Trey Mullinax. Oh, Smalley's up there.
Smalley is up there.
And Rye.
Yep, Aaron Rai again. So, yeah, I mean, Aaron Rye's pretty good long
Scotty, T9 right next to fucking Jaeger. Unbelievable.
Yeah. Scotty there as well. Steven Jaeger again. But a lot of people knock Finau. It's like, oh, you beat a bunch of bums. Look, this final result is very misleading. Finau was leading by 7 with 9 to go. It was
I remember texting back and forth with you being like, you have to be fucking kidding me.
Yeah. Oh, he's going to blow a 7-shot lead.
He's going to blow this fucking thing. I remember being very upset, and he was in trouble for something he didn't do yet.
No, I mean, I think he shot 3 over on the back too. He blew this entire field. But that's what's supposed to happen is when you get a really good player against a bunch of bums, he's supposed to blow out the field. And Finau actually did, because at the end of the day, you're playing the golf course, not necessarily the field. And he blew everybody out.
Yep.
So this was one of the more, I think, impressive Finau wins. And this is when he won 3M, Rock and Mortgage.
One of the more impressive Finau wins.
Yeah.
What is another impressive Finau win?
Oh, that's a good point. No, Liberty National. That was impressive.
The Mexico Open.
No, Liberty National. When he won the Northern Trust, that was impressive.
Fine, I guess.
I mean, it took Cam Smith hitting it out of bounds in the first playoff to break.
Yeah, exactly. It was because our boy had too much nerves because he didn't know that I was 100% behind him yet. God, I forgot we had money on that too.
Yeah, but keep in mind, this is with Bermuda, and then in 2021, again, you hit Jason Kokrak.
I did hit Kokrak
because we went on the mic. I said, "Hey, there's not a lot of bunkers." You're like, "Oh, Kokrak's awful lot of bunkers." So
exactly right.
And sure enough,
Jason
Kokrak loses a stroke around the green that week, but he put the lights out, hit his irons great. This was also a tournament too. Scotty was the 54-hole leader, and this was before Scotty had won a tournament.
Yeah, but it was Scotty.
Yeah. And this was Scotty blew it. And I remember the rhetoric around was man, is Scotty just a loser? Is he never going
to
really
this
win?
Was right when this was the same year right after it was right after this, close enough after this, where This was the same year he played Rahm in the Ryder Cup, right?
In
Still hadn't had a
21,
win
yeah,
on
Whistling
tour.
Straits, yes.
Yeah, still hadn't had a win on tour.
Yep.
And they were like, Scotty is going out against Rahm. Like, fucking, we're putting Scotty out. No PGA Tour wins. We're putting him out against the killer, John Rahm. I lost money on that matchup.
Yeah, I think that was the only money we lost that week because we bet the Americans.
It was
we
hit the correct score. We hit buddy, my Pottery Barn sectional couch is because of that.
Yeah, that was a nice day. So
it was a nice
all right. So let's go to the odds board now. So let me get out of this.
Coke rack. I miss Coke rack. I miss all my fucking Euro.
No, you don't. Coke rack sucks now. All right.
I still miss him.
That's somebody that, and we're gonna talk about Liv next week. That's somebody who can stay behind. He can stay behind. All right. We don't need him anymore. He got he got paid. He's good.
He did get paid. No question.
All right.
Based on what I know.
All right. So pretty weak field overall. And
yes.
I mean,
super tough.
But you got, it's very top of it. You got Scotty and Rory, plus 320 for Scotty, plus 600 for Rory. Let me ask you something. Are you tempted to single bullet either of these guys?
No. So here's what I was going to ask you. So Rory, right? He won the Players, and he seemed pretty fucking blasé.
Yeah.
Right? About winning the Players. Like, the only thing that is on Rory's mind is winning the fucking Masters. So it makes me very, very worried to bet somebody who is 6-1, who clearly only cares about one tournament this entire year. Am I wrong about that? Like, he only cares about the Masters this year, right? He didn't give a shit about winning Pebble. He did not give a shit about winning Sawgrass.
No.
Did not care.
Well, so the pattern for Rory this year has been he has won golf courses where we would perceive him not to be great fits, based on form coming in.
Yep.
And now we come to a golf course where it's bombs away and long irons and it's set up like Augusta. And we would be like, yeah, like Rory's gonna be great this week. Rory's gonna be chalk and DFS and everything like that. And then he kind of fell flat on his flat on his face and finished T12. I mean, it might be better for Rory to finish kind of T11 this week to take a little bit of steam off him. He's already going to have a lot of attention on him at the Masters, winning twice. So maybe kind of nailing it a little bit. Of the two, Scotty just kind of seems a little off right now with everything.
Off. He does.
So if I was going to single bullet, it would be Rory, but I don't think I'm going to be doing that. No. I'll probably be looking down the board here. All right, 30-1 to like 41.
How? First of all, can we address how ridiculous this board is? 6-30. That is fucking silly.
I mean, there's a giant drop off.
That is insane.
That makes all the sense in the world.
Can you think of another tournament that you've seen this? I can't.
I mean, didn't it happen last year with Scotty, and then the next one was like 20-1?
I don't remember that one. Maybe.
Well, you should, because he had to pay BK a lot of money. So you should.
That's fucking tournament. Yeah, it's fine.
All right. So we go Sungjae 30-1, Spawn 30-1, Taylor Pender 35-1, Michael Kim 35-1,
Michael Kim 35-1. Michael fucking Kim 35.
Yeah.
When are these people going to pay their price? When are they going to pay their price?
Oh, because he made the cut at +2. Did he do anything over the weekend or no?
It doesn't matter. He still puts up points, and it's still like they would have dropped.
I don't know. I prefer my Michael Kim barely making cuts and not being relevant. So
Riot 35 is interesting. Yeah, Riot at 35 is interesting.
Davis Thompson's interesting.
I guess I hate that.
Good driver, good scrambler. I think that's very at 35 is a little rich, but you could probably price shop that this week. I could probably.
He's next to Taylor Pendrith, for Christ's sake.
Taylor Pendrith's also probably another one I could get on board with. He stinks. All right, how about Wyndham Clark and Tony Finau? 40-1. That's sticker shock for these guys. You would think they would be pretty good here, but Wyndham Clark's coming off a withdrawal of the Players, and Tony Finau.
Yeah,
I don't know what his deal is. He stinks.
So normally
he's great here.
Yeah, normally, I would jump on Finau at 40-1 and Wyndham at 40-1 here. They both have weird question marks, so I think I got to pass.
Okay.
Minwoo here, I think, would be fucking amazing.
Yeah, but we always say that at like these driver golf courses where there's no penalty, he stinks there, and then he shows up with Sawgrass and he's great.
I know.
Doesn't make any sense.
I know.
Makes no sense.
No sense, but I think if we're talking in that range, Rise played really well here. If my memory serves me correct. He's not necessarily long, but he's a good long iron player, so he makes up for it there.
Okay.
So it would be Rye and Minwoo for me in this range.
Jason Day might be interesting. I mean, he just did well at Bay Hill.
Day stinks.
He does stink, but he stinks a lot with his accuracy. And
we don't care about accuracy here now.
Exactly.
That's just fucking long.
I know. Well, that's a pro, I think, for him. And he's great. He's got a good short game.
He's got
that could be
that's fair.
I think he played well here in 21, I think. Or maybe
I'm taking Minwoo over Day.
Okay.
Minwoo over Day. Give me the upside.
Alex Smalley. He played bad at Valspar, but again, he's a really good driver.
Yeah, long off the box, good around the greens.
Yeah, top 10. That could work.
Does he have a top 10 here?
Yeah, he had that top 10 in 2022, the Finau year. He finished like T7 or something. So that could work.
Yep. Dietrich, back to Dietrich. Good last year. The asshole didn't want to show up until today. Like
wait, hold up. Dietrich's been complete crap lately, and then everybody was on him this week.
No,
like I didn't understand that one at all.
So for me, it was how good he is off. I don't know, man. Like he just seemed like he had a good course history there, ish, and just keep off the win. And I was kind of hoping that he would just turn into a player I wanted him to turn into, probably, if I'm being honest, right?
Yeah, he did.
Not a whole lot of data to back it up, but he played well here last year. I think he came in the top 15, if I remember.
No, I'm not. I'm talking about at Innisbrook. He was a big.
Oh, at Innisbrook, yeah, Innisbrook.
I didn't get that at all.
Yeah, I just wanted him to turn into the player. And look, today he fucking shot 4 under, and he was. So here's the deal: he was missing so many putts between Thursday and Saturday. It was fucking nuts. It would be like 7 feet Dietrich, par, 8 feet Dietrich, par, 12 feet par. It was a fucking nightmare scenario to follow when you have money on him. But I mean, long and straight ish, right? Ish. Yeah.
I can get behind him here. Yeah, I like him better here in Innisbrook.
Yeah, me too. Absolutely, me too.
Okay.
Taylor Moore, Red State.
It is a Red State. Satagala showed a little bit at times.
I'm good.
You're good. It's a good number.
Yeah, but so like if I'm putting them right next to each other, I'd rather bet more at 60.
Okay. Grazeman 75-1.
So talk to me about his around the green. Talk to me about his around the green. So I know he's long and he does it with his putter. Talk to me about his around the green. But maybe I'm putting too much importance on around the green.
I mean, he has gained. I mean, I don't have Innisbrook. Did he play? Wait, he didn't play this week, right?
No, he didn't play this week.
So he gained a little bit of players, gained at API, gained at Cognizant, gained at Phoenix. Okay. There's some tight lies around Phoenix.
Tight lies at Phoenix, yeah.
You make a little bit of a crossover there. Lost at Torrey, but it's not comparable. Bad wave. It's not comparable though. So yeah, I mean, his around the green game's okay. He's mostly just bombs it, and he's a good Yeah, I mean, it's a similar profile. It's a similar profile to Jaeger coming into last year. If you want to look at that.
Okay, I like Graceman. All right, no Kitayama. Can I put a thing out that might get me in trouble? Andy, fetch is not going to happen. Kitayama is fetch. Fetch is not going to happen. Okay. It's not going to happen. He stinks at golf.
I'll do a no comment on that. Sam Stevens really faded over the weekend, but we're going back to that. Patrick Rogers.
No. What about Seamus?
Seamus, maybe.
James had a hell of a fucking day today.
Yeah. I think I'm done with the Hoygaards for a little bit. Rasmus is a mess. Nikolai was terrible this week.
Oh, yeah, it's bad.
Although, God, no, I got stop talking myself in these two fucking idiots.
You love your fucking Norwegian fucking / Scandinavian.
They're not even Norwegian. They're Danish.
I
just love those Scandinavians. Apparently,
that's what they're all up there. That's all the same.
Kevin, you 90-1.
You look good today. You look pretty good.
Bo Haas.
What about Nap? You on Nap last week. This, of course, way better fits Nap than fucking this past week.
Yeah, maybe.
What are you talking about? There's no penalty for fucking missing the fairway. You bomb it and you putt it. That's fucking Nap.
I feel like is Nap only good at like Florida and the West Coast? Although he's good at Byron Nelson.
Yeah, I'm telling you. I think Nap might be out this week at 90-1. Okay. I think that might be all right. Bo Hostler, by the way. Bo Hostler. He looks like a fucking like the Kronks, whatever. It's anybody who has kids knows what I'm talking about. The Kronks. Like he looks like he belongs in that fucking family. But I feel like he's got a decent course history here. Now, keep in mind, this is my memory, everybody. Steve will certainly correct me if I'm wrong.
Keep talking.
See?
I'm going to fact.
He will certainly correct me if I'm wrong. But this feels like a course that he should be good at.
Theoretically, yes.
What's this course history? I feel like it's okay.
What I'm worried about that you're thinking of actually is the other Houston Open venue. Yeah, okay. Right.
So
he's been bad here, but he has Houston Open scar tissue. And this was back in, I think, 2018 when Ian Poulter was still on the PGA Tour, and we all friggin' hated that guy. Yep, but it was his last chance to make it into the Masters. It was a big deal that week, and he showed.
Oh, I remember this. Oh, I absolutely remember this.
And he won, and he beat Bo Dumpy Hostler in the playoff at the Golf Club of Houston. That was that term. That's what you're thinking of exactly good history, Bo Hostler. No, that was the other golf course.
This is why we have checks and balances.
Yes.
This is why we have checks and balances. Diamond, no. EVR, never.
Oh, pot guider,
no.
Yeah, I mean the around the green stuff. I don't want anything to do with it.
Celinda though.
Celinda, I could see that.
Where's
Carl Phillips?
No, I'm fine with him.
Matty Schmidt looked okay last week.
Yeah.
After I said he stinks and you're going to get everything you deserve playing him with the players.
Yeah.
I went back to him with my gunning play. He played all right.
Dude, Davis Riley 190. That seems stupid. He's got a good course history here, doesn't he? And just played well last week. I feel like he top 20 last year. I feel like he top 20 last year. I feel like he top 20 at least last year.
3 top 30s and top 40. Maybe we should just blindly bet that.
Ooh, fucking 190. Just played well coming in today on Sunday.
Fine. I'm good with that. I mean, guys are betting 200-1 at Valspar.
Yeah,
and then
same fucking thing.
I mean, except we have Rory. Should we wait for the without Scotty and Rory market for Riley then?
First of all, I live in Florida, so I don't get those. So I just have to bet.
All right. How about this idiot, Nick Dunlap? 200-1.
So if BK didn't have me so convinced that he's ruined because he has a new girlfriend and a relationship and all the Instagram posts, yes, I think Dunlap would fit here amazingly. But
no, I think he stinks.
Kirshner has me convinced that he is completely ruined by his new girlfriend.
Okay, I think he stinks at golf. I think he sees ball, hit ball.
He's a ball
far.
speed guy.
Yeah,
ball speed guy.
Yeah, I think he's.
I like Danny Walker.
Maybe I think maybe a little. I think he's a better version of Cam Champ. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, that's not a ringing endorsement.
Otherwise, though, man, Michael Torbjornsson did not pan out. He's 250.
No. Listen.
Your boy Toasty 300-1.
Another rich kid loser who went to fucking Stanford and he was supposed to be good and he doesn't. But he's gonna fall back on some fucking career because his daddy has a law firm.
You gonna try and sell me on Jackson Super again?
Nope. I'm 100% out on him.
Done with that. Will Gordon 500 to 1.
Man, what happened to him? I like Frankie.
That's my old addiction is Will Gordon.
That is your old addiction.
Yep.
That
that's
really
OG golf gambling podcast right there. Will Gordon every single week.
Every week.
Blowing top 4 on Sundays.
But look, right next to him, Nick Hattie, my old guy. Fucking 450.
It is. So Kyle's guy, Bill Katz, William Lau, 601. Yep. That's really bad. We're pretty deep here. So, all right, that's kind of where our head's at with the opening odds this place. And that's it for the preview.
Yeah. So we'll be back on Tuesday for our normal betting show. We'll have all these schizophrenic thoughts somewhat thought out and in check. Yeah, listen, I think it was a good week for golf. Hopefully this week will be good. Man, I'm really looking forward to this week. I think this week's going to be good. I think this week's going to be good. Maybe we'll get a deep winner. I kind of want a deep winner. I don't want Scotty or Rory to win. I don't think they care enough about this event. That's what I'm telling you.
I think Scotty does, but
yeah, well, Scotty is just like demonstrative at this point, missing putts, and he needs to go have a Luke Clinton prayer circle about his attitude. I feel like
easy.
So, anywho, listen, we'll be back on fucking Tuesday. Bearhoff and Andy got their DFS Twitter show tomorrow. And we'll be back on Tuesday. BK, do you know who BK has this week?
PJ something.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yep.
PJ.
So
Guy named PJ.
BK will be back tomorrow night to break it down. Then we'll be back on Tuesday, break down the betting odds, and we'll give out our cards and our thoughts on it. Maybe we'll have a little more weather on it, but I feel like this is a good week. I feel like me and you have handicapped this one pretty well over the years. So
yep, we have.
Let's go. And congratulations to Vic. Thank God it was not fucking JT. And go have a brat and a beer, Vic, and listen to some crazy heavy metal and be happy.